Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name is Adam Cohn. I am your host, joined by my co-host, Dan Welch. Dan, how's your tournament break been, my friend?
Adam, it has been fantastic. Spent a little time at the beach. Took time off of, the stressful DFS hamster wheel, and I'm ready to get back into it. So
Excellent.
I'm excited.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are recording this the day before we're going to record the ESL Pro League Season 14 first podcast, which is going to preview the event and going to get into the 8-16 slate on DraftKings and the prize pick slate on prize picks as well. So this podcast is going to be a special podcast. Dan and I are going to recap the first half of 2021 for Tier 1 Counter-Strike. We're also going to talk about some lot of news that's been happening over the tournament break. I can't say player break because then I hear Sponge in the back of my head from the HLTV Confirmed podcast where him, Professor, and Striker continued to always say it was a tournament break, it wasn't a player break. Also, for what it's worth, we need more Smooya on those podcasts. If you haven't listened to the Smooya HLTV Confirmed podcast, he's such a riot. He is such a great interview. It's a great podcast. Go back and listen to it. He gives a lot of good nuggets, and he's just really knowledgeable and fun to listen to. All right. Without any further ado, Dan, let's recap the first half of 2021 for Tier 1 Counter-Strike. I'm over here on Liquidpedia.net and looking at the S tier tournaments for Counter-Strike. We're going to talk about these first before we get into the RMR events. And I see a lot of Na'Vi and Gambit on the winners and runner-up. I think it's safe to say that Na'Vi have recently become the best team in the world, but Gambit has had that title consistently for the first half of 2021.
Yeah. Online versus LAN, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, we talked about this during the Cologne podcast here on the CSGO Clutch podcast. You know, the Titans of LAN are going to have an advantage even though there were no fans. They've been there. They've had that kind of pressure before. They've been to the dance. Who did well? Na'Vi, Astralis, G2. Who went out earlier? Heroic and Gambit. Well, I'm not going there.
They did.
I'm aware. That was such a interesting situation.
Run.
But again, like, who's on phase? Twists? He said how many years of LAN experience on Team Liquid? Brokey's first real LAN, I think. You had Rain, who's been on how many LAN events? You've had Kerrigan, who's been master of LAN events. Who's their fifth? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on their fifth now.
Brokey, Kerrigan,
Rain, Twists.
Oh, Olaf Meister came back.
Oh, Olaf, right. Sorry, Olaf. No disrespect to you. And, you know, the legend of Olaf himself. They have the LAN experience. So, while Gambit are the better team, FaZe just beat them. Right? Like, that was the shocker of Cologne. Right? Was Gambit getting knocked off that early. But overall, if we just had to look at who won the tournaments. Blast Premier Global Final 2020. Na'Vi won. Astralis came in second. That's fine. CS Summit 7 happened. Quick tournament. VP won that. Fnatic came in second. I know. Shocker. The Blast Premier Spring groups, which led us into the Spring Finals. Big Complexity and Na'Vi punched their tickets there. And we'll skip to the Spring Finals. Gambit won. Na'Vi lost. They came runner-up. Then we had Katowice. Right? So, like, Katowice, we had Gambit's first win, VP coming in second. That grand final was a ton of fun. And Gambit really shined in that event. They showed they belonged.
That is an understatement, my friend, because they were wrecking.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, VP was still the powerhouse VP before they figured out how to anti-strat out Yekindar. Then we got into ESL Pro League Season 13. If you watch that grand final, you're not going to forget Cadian's 1v4 clutch with the P250. Knifing Shiro, 3 op kills, 1 op kill through the triple box on Mirage A site. And that was a legendary clutch. Hey Valve, if you're listening, Cadian's still waiting for his graffiti on Mirage. Just saying. Cause that was
Make it happen, Adam.
that was for the title. It's not like it was this. It was an epic play of itself. That one heroic that one heroic the tournament. Like,
just start spamming them and say to add the graffiti because I love that idea.
I think that should definitely be something that they should be working on. The next event we had after that was the IEM DreamHack Masters event after EPL, where Navi won that, and oh look, shocker, Gambit came in second. So Gambit won Katowice, came in second in Pro League, second in DreamHack. Oh, look who's first at IEM Summer. It's Gambit. OG came as the runner-up. Blasphemy Spring Finals. It's Gambit again. Navi coming in second there, and then Cologne, which was the first LAN event of the year. Navi beat G2. That was actually a closer grand final than the stats would probably indicate. Those were very tight maps, but Navi just coming out and winning, and then stepping out of the hotel. Look, it's sunlight, and there's people having dinner, and there are sparklers, and people behind going, "What is going on with these people?" That was a fun little ceremony. I'm happy for Navi. Navi right now are currently ranked as the world #1 according to HLTV. Where are my rankings? Alright, here we go. Let's go with my rankings. HLTV confirms ranking is as of August 9th, 2021. Navi are the world #1. The addition of Bit might be one of, if not the best additions of this year.
Yeah, Bit's so good.
He's really come on lately. I mean, there were other ones. Go back and listen to some of the HLTV confirmed podcasts. The one with Rops is really good. The one with Smooya is outstanding. And they talk about a lot of this, like who was the best addition, and they've gone over, their recap, and they've gone over the recent news on all of them, and all that other stuff. I can't think of who else was added this year. I mean, Kyojin was added to Team Vitality. I'd probably say overall, and I think this was the back and forth, it was between Bit being added to Navi and Refresh and Shuj being added to Heroic, I think were the top two. I'd probably have to go with Refresh and Shush to Heroic. How much better that made them as a team. Adding those two and replacing Nico and Borup. So that's probably the best addition. Not to my own Heroic bias, because they're my favorite team. But if you look at it from an unbiased standpoint, replacing Nico and Borup and upgrading with Refresh and Shush was probably the best roster move so far of 2021. I mean, their first tournament with each other, they won EPL Season 13, sorry.
Agreed.
Bit, though, has probably been... That's definitely number 2. So, any complaints here? Navi is the world #1 after winning IEM Cologne?
Not at all, because if you watch some of those matches, they were clearly the Patriots of 2 years ago.
Yeah, our Dan and I's New England Patriots bias aside, Brady's got 7 rings. What? Anyway, Navi 1, Gambit 2. This is no surprise. Like, these are the 2 best teams in the world, and it's not close.
I would say G2's. I think G2's. I would put G2 ahead of Gambit right now.
I'm not. I mean, Gambit's still a way better team than G2. I like what G2 have done. Amanek has proven to be a very capable opper.
Yeah, they're still putting it together. I mean, Gambit's been rolling with the same team for a while now, so I
Yep.
don't know. I just think that there's more potential
Yep.
for
I mean,
G2.
Gambit added Hobbit late last year, and that's in and of itself has been,
Oh, that was
fantastic
huge.
for them. Just getting that experience for Gambit has been outstanding. So,
Yeah.
Astralis at number 4. Like, I agree with the top 3. Navi 1, Gambit 2, G2 3. Astralis at 4, I think says a lot. This team has been resilient. You have a team with no opper, dedicated opper, at number 4, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, it's like who? Yeah, but who else? Who else would be in the fourth spot? Like, it's hard to really make the argument. I mean, maybe Heroic, but even like they kind of wavered at the end, and now they don't have the coach. And
See, I would
so
go
I'm
with
just,
her. I'd go with Heroic or Mouse.
yeah, I think Mouse Sports, but their recent performance has been pretty bad. But they again, like the potential's there. I think where if you were to look at this as like a who's got the potential kind of perspective, Astralis and Virtus Pro would not be 4 and 5 for me, or even say like Nip, Heroic,
I
even
think it's
Vitality
because
and
of
Mouse
how.
Sports.
I mean, right, and I mean, you have to take Cologne into account.
Yeah. No, I know. It's based on reality, not future value. So
Yep. So, like, number
or
4 for
present
me
value.
would be Heroic. Number 5 would be Mouse Sports. Actually, probably Astralis 5, Mouse Sports 6. I've been really impressed with Astralis, but Heroic have had consistent play. Astralis have been more not
They,
wishy-washy, but they've been more up and down.
Astralis has the better portfolio. I think
Agreed.
that's yeah.
Like I have no problem putting Heroic 5 either if you want to keep Astralis at 4. The the
Yeah.
the VP and phase rankings. Again, I understand Cologne had a lot to do with the phase ranking.
Yeah.
Um, taking home 4th place or 3rd or 4th or however they have it. You know, give that roster a ton of credit. Right, like Olaf is there to stay right now. They haven't replaced him. He's hanging out. Um, but Twists and Brokey and Carrigan still need something else. That roster is a piece away from being really good. No disrespect to the legend and Olaf Meister, but they need to find another 5th. The question is who's the 5th? You're not going to bring in Smooya, you have Brokey.
Mm.
You're not going to bring in MSL, he's starting a new team. Esatag's off the market, Walksix off the market, Alex and Mezier off the market.
Can we talk about the complexity situation real quick, or just because they didn't even show up in our? Are they in the top 20? God, I was
They are number 16.
16. So the
How the
the
how the
the
mighty have
Esatag
fallen.
move, yeah. But I like the Esatag move.
Yep,
Although it makes me wonder, like, who's going to take on that role of Rush, basically doing whatever it takes to win.
Esatag.
Um,
That role isn't changing,
yeah,
which
so
stinks.
yeah,
You
that could be
you just have
huge.
a higher fragging support player.
Yeah, because like, or maybe Blame F takes a back seat in some situation, or maybe not a back seat, but takes some of that space taking IGL role
Yeah.
on.
All right. So before we get into all the recent news, is there anything else that you want to talk about from like a first half 2021 perspective?
No, it was a wonderful it was a wonderful first half of the year for me.
Agreed.
I enjoyed like every moment of the drama and the games, and um, I'm just so happy that I've kind of fallen into this. And I
Right.
really almost had no idea it existed, and prior to COVID. So
Yep. This is outstanding.
yeah,
I mean I get out of the top 20. I think Entropic now in the top 20 is awesome. I'm so happy for them. Um,
Renegades.
Renegades is number 20. EG just outside the top 20. Um, I think we're going to see a very interesting second half of the year. Now, all right. With that being said, let's actually start talking about the plethora of recent news. And Dan and I are going to try keeping this special podcast to about a half hour. We may talk a little bit more about some of the recent news on the next podcast as we preview EPL. But, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the two Fnatic moves to begin with. Fnatic benched Golden, and Fnatic have benched JW.
Yeah, we saw this coming because remember they announced Broland's 3-year contract renewal and no one else's was announced? You just had to see,
We knew they were entering a rebuilding phase.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Fnatic have been somewhat broken the last year. They won EPL Season 11, which made me a fan. Right, like that's when you and I were just getting into Counter-Strike, the pandemic was hitting, EPL Season 11 was going on. It was a nice detach, and then you saw like Mouse Sports in there up and down this back in the day, and then Fnatic were just there and they were edging out these games, and I just kind of became a Fnatic fan, just like seeing them edge out the games, and then I just became like a fan of like rooting for them to win.
Yeah.
So like that's what made me a Fnatic fan originally. Those two moves, like you said, that's not shocking. We knew changes were coming. They were not getting rid of Broland. They were probably not getting rid of Crims. And they had just brought on Giacchino.
Right, who's shown some really good moments, too.
He has. And again, Giacchino, like Kyojin, and like Bit, maybe refresh to an extent. Some of these players who haven't played Tier 1 for a long time, I'm going to even put refresh in there. So like Bit and like Kyojin, and now you add Giacchino to that list. Players that they've not played this tier of Counter-Strike, this level of competition. It takes time for them to develop. And Giacchino originally wasn't hopping. It was still JW when he came on.
Yeah.
So, alright, so let's get into it. The Complexity news. Complexity bench rush and have signed Esatag. I find this as a really interesting move.
Sorry, I ruined it for you.
Again, if you listen to the HLTV Confirmed podcasts, they all have their own take of what is wrong with Complexity, and it's not Rush. Matter of fact, they made the point that Rush has made every team better that he's gone to, which I found really interesting.
I didn't really when I brought this up before. I didn't really know that was the point that I wanted to make, but that is the point that I wanted to make. Is this just a matter of too many Chiefs? But I don't think it's the right move.
I mean, I don't think so either. I mean, what you're doing is you're getting an upgrade. With all due respect to Rush, and with all due respect to him being a leader and a positive voice behind the scenes, and in game and out of game, Esatag is a better player. At this point in his career, he's a better fragger. He can do any role you ask him to do. Cloud9 said entry frag. Done. Cloud9 said op. You got it. Complexity's probably going to ask you to support. No problem. He's a versatile player, I think, is what I was hearing from the HLTV Confirmed podcasts. And they had I think they were going back and forth between Blame F and JKS, and they think JKS might be part of the problem. And it's not so much JKS himself. JKS is an ace star of his own team. He's playing third fiddle to Config and Blame F. And some of JKS's style of gameplay and Blame F's are kind of the same. And it's possibly causing a clash. I think is what I've heard from the podcast. I think that was the Smooya podcast. Was either the Rops podcast or the Smooya podcast. But I thought that was a really interesting point. Now, getting rid of replacing Kita with Peacemaker, I like that move. I really like that move. So, what do you think about the Complexity moves?
Yeah, I'm just gonna reiterate it. It feels like a Dallas Cowboy kind of move. Or let's just spend some money and get somebody that we think is really good. And
ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, Dan and I are very excited for football season to be starting up in a couple weeks.
Well, they're partially owned by the Dallas Cowboys.
Complexity is a Dallas-based organization.
Yeah,
I believe.
No, they are. They 100%. I've definitely confirmed that. So, yeah, it's just like, okay, you get a shiny object and make him fit in our team that where that maybe isn't the broken piece, or put a Band-Aid on something and expect it to heal.
Now, don't get me wrong. I want to see the next 2 to 3 months. Really, 2 to 3 months of how this team plays with Esatag. There's a chance JKS is out of this team by the end of the year. It's
an interesting point.
If what those three have said is, makes a good point, then if you brought in, let's just say you brought back Rush. Strat-wise, it might flow better. Gameplay-wise, it might flow better. JKS is an ace of a team. There's a reason he was the best player on 100 Thieves.
I mean, he was a former Renegades player too, so now they're making moves. Maybe.
Yeah, and JKS came in. He was never going to be the ace of the team. That was not when he came into Complexity to be the ace. He was not going to be the number one. At the time, Blame F was the ace of that team. Config then started stepping up. Blame F started playing more the IGL, but still a high fragging IGL. And then, JKS is just... I think a little bit has to do with that too, Dan, of when JKS came in, Poison was out of the lineup, or JKS was out of the lineup, or there was this weird, not everyone on the same team at the same... No, not everyone was on the same team at the same time. There was no continuities. You were trying to equip JKS, and you had, subs coming in for Poison, and it was like, hey, he was left in a weird predicament.
Yeah.
So, I find that interesting. So, alright, so let's continue moving here with the news. Glaive signs a new 3-year deal with Astralis. Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to talk about with Complexity? They also, like I said, they let Kita go, and they have signed Peacemaker from Mad Lions. I love the move.
The Peacemaker move, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kita doesn't seem like a very experienced coach or a very mature coach. That's just my opinion. But
well, we can get into it because the actual other side of the Kita news is Fnatic have signed him as their strategic coach. Not just the coach, the strategic coach. Samuelson, who used to be the coach, is, gone into more of an administrative and managerial role with the Fnatic organization.
That almost makes more sense in my mind, from what I know about Kita and his abilities.
So you're going to have Alex as the new IGL, and you're going to have a new coach at the same time. So you would have had to think both Alex and Kita had to be on board with this, because the other piece of this, with the benching of Golden and JW, Fnatic has gone international for the first time, I think, since 2013, or whenever it was. They have signed Alex and Mezzi. Alex, formerly of Team Vitality and Cloud9, and Mezzi, formerly of Cloud9 and most recently Endpoint.
Who's been crushing.
Yeah, there was a reason Henry G wanted to go after Mezzi. The kid has skill and was crushing on Endpoint.
Yeah.
And clearly, Alex and Mezzi must get along if they're both coming on together.
That's a good point. Very good point. I like this a lot better than Complexity's move, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Who wins in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Now, going international is going to have its own challenges. Language barriers. If Brolang, Crims, or Giacchino do not speak English, I don't know if they do or not. So Alex and Mezzi know Swedish. Communication is going to be key. But they've had weeks to work on this, and I don't think Fnatic are part of the first group for EPL. So they have at least another week to continue to get some sort of momentum. It's going to take probably a couple months for this team to fully gel, but I'm excited to see what this team can do in EPL Season 14 and beyond. I like the moves.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the Astralis news. There are two pieces of news for Astralis. All right. Glaive signing a new 3-year deal with Astralis. I love the move.
He's awesome.
Yeah. He's the best IGL in the world.
Yeah.
All right.
And he's kind of like that. I feel like he's taken over. Like, you know how I would talk about how Device can't carry. I feel like he's supposed to be carrying and leading the team, and he will. Like, that's. I just have a good feeling about where Astralis is going to go, and remainder of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Because of him.
All right. And then the other piece of news, I want to make sure I can find it. Here we go. Astralis reestablished extended roster with Lucky signing. This is the Lucky from Tricked, who is an opper. So they're getting ready. They're now going to do the same thing with him that they did with Bubsky. So Bubsky now a part of the Core 5 roster. Lucky's now going to be able to get adjusted to the Astralis playbooks and the Tier 1 level of play. And you know more about Lucky than I do, but I know he's a talented young opper.
Oh, I mean, the only thing that I really know is that we would always bet the over on prize picks. It was never high enough. And he is very, very good. He's young. Like, he's got that, that fast twitch speed going on. And I just think this is like a transitional period for him to become the main opper. And then Zipex to probably move on.
Well, it's either him or Dupree, because there have been rumors of Dupree to go meet up with Device over in NIP.
Really? I haven't heard that rumor.
Rumors, and I if you listen to HLTV Confirm, they've kind of said it but not said it.
Huh.
So
I don't buy it. I don't think that'll happen.
I can see it. I think Astralis are definitely in a rebuilding phase. The other big Astralis rumor, a couple rumors. It's rumored that Zonic is going to be stepping down from Astralis by the end of the year, the end of his contract, and Hunden from Heroic is going to be replacing Zonic on Astralis.
I mean, clearly Hunden's out of a job. I mean, they're suing him. Like, I didn't even know that he was out per se. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I mean, okay. I'm sorry. Hunden declares not to extend with Heroic. I wish to begin a new chapter in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he's clearly free.
He's not free. He's kind of sort of free. So Hunden is being, I guess, taking legal action against from Heroic. There was this thing of apparently they found out Hunden was talking with coaches about anti-strats with Heroic's playbook and what they've seen from other teams, which I would say it's a no-no, but apparently this happens. Coaches talk to coaches, and they just talk about, hey, a lot of anti-strats for a lot of teams. Apparently. Again, go listen to HLTV Confirmed. I'm not getting into this on this podcast. I don't know enough about the situation to comment. All I know is Hunden is out of Heroic most likely. I don't think he has any hard feelings against the team. I don't think the team has any hard feelings against him, like player-wise. And Hunden looks like he's going to go to the powerhouse that is Astralis. You can say whether it's a up or downgrade. I think it's an upgrade because I think just the legacy of Astralis is better than Heroic's. Heroic will build their own legacy as a Danish powerhouse, but right now Astralis are the Danish powerhouse. They're just not currently the best Danish team in the world. That still belongs to Heroic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So those are the big pieces of news and stuff from Astralis. There is so much else going on here, and again, we're just trying to cover this stuff as much as possible here, trying to keep this to a half hour, but we're going to go over. NIP, we have no idea what's going to go on once we get to EPL. We don't know what's going on with LNZ. Is he staying on? Who's going to be the fifth? We don't know quite yet. Some of the other bigger pieces of news. Zantares has been transfer listed from Big and has formed a Turkish powerhouse team or a Turkish superstar team that is now official as Eternal Fire. The team is consisting of Waksik, Zantares, Kalix, formerly of Team Envy, I believe, Emor,
Yep.
formerly of Team Sangal, and Issa, formerly of Team OG.
My man Issa.
Yeah, I figured that'd make Dan happy.
He's back.
I think this is a
That makes
really
me more than happy.
I think it's a really interesting team. It's rumored Zantares is going to be the IGL.
What? Do you know he's 26? Zantares?
I have no
He's
idea.
26.
So I think this is interesting.
That's like old.
Yeah, but like I think this is interesting. The core of Waksik, Zantares, and Kalix, I think, is really interesting. Now,
Yeah, I don't know how well this team's gonna do.
I don't either. I think it's going to be interesting to watch. For sure.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're probably not going to see them in Tier 1 competition for a while. They're going to have to build up points and, play some of these other tournaments like the Snow Sweet Snows and, all these other, B to C tier events to, build up points. Just like Extra Salt had to do. Just like Heroic had to do. Just like Gambit had to do. So, we'll see. But I think this team is definitely interesting. What else? Fury isn't... anything else you want to talk about with the big moves? Big also signed Gade. I'm surprised they didn't get Faven from Sprout.
Yeah, that's really... I'm surprised about that. But, yeah, I mean, I felt like Big... they were just so inconsistent. Like, something had to change, and I thought maybe it would be Zantares. I thought maybe it would be, I know this is going to sound crazy, but maybe Searson because of his performance, but, without knowing anything for sure, it was hard to really predict, but it just felt like something was going to change.
Yeah.
They haven't had the results they had a year ago.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, Faven can still join Big. Apparently, according to this article, Faven's 3-year anniversary with Sprouts coming up in September. So there's a chance Faven might end up on Big by the end of the year. We don't know yet. But right now, they signed Gade, formerly of Team North. He's Danish, so that's going to be interesting. So, again, comms-wise, I think a lot of the big guys can speak English. But again, communication-wise, it's a non-German player on a full German roster. And anyone from even if it was Faven replacing Zantares, still a downgrade over Zantares.
Yeah, but Zantares didn't speak. I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he had to learn German or if they were doing it all in English. But
maybe. I mean, if it was all English, then Gade's not going to have a problem.
Right.
At least I wouldn't think he has a problem. Anything else to talk about with Big? That's the only two moves from Big, really.
No, I'm okay with it. I mean, I kind of like it, actually. I think they needed to make a change.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a change they needed to make, but I think this makes Big a weaker roster overall, in my opinion.
Yeah. Less firepower.
Yeah. Fury is in massive disarray. I'm saying massive disarray just because unbelievable. What happened to this team? This was the best North American Counter-Strike team. Really, the last half of last year after EG started faltering in the beginning part of this year. What happened? Henny leaves and the team just tanks. They just tank.
They definitely dropped, but
no, they tanked. They tanked.
I don't think they were going to win anything without, even with Henny. I mean, that's just my.
I agree. But again, full Brazilian roster, Junior was the right move in my opinion. I think the communication barrier and the language barrier was a problem. Not Junior's gameplay. I don't think Junior's style of play meshed with how aggro Fury are.
Right.
Fury is a very aggressive team. So I just don't think, you know, Junior's style of gameplay worked with it. So now they have Honda on the team, and I don't know what's going on with that roster. We'll see them in EPL, and we'll see what happens with them. But anything you want to talk about with Furia?
Nope.
All right, and we talked about the Fnatic news already. Anything else you want to talk about with the Fnatic news with the Alex and Mezzi signings?
No, I like it. And I know you probably already mentioned it, but they have the academy team too. Was it Fnatic Rising or something?
The Fnatic Rising team that was put together 24 hours before the event started. That was so weird. It's like the event was starting, like that day, they didn't have a complete roster. It was so weird. It was so weird. As a total sidebar, the We Play Academy League was actually pretty interesting. All best of ones. Here's your recaps from it. Torzy on Mouse NXT is a freaking beast. Monzi on Navi Jr. is a freaking beast.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you gotta know. They're insane. You can talk about if Torzy keeps this up, Acor could be out of a job on Mouse. HLTV confirmed podcast talked about that as well. Torzy is that kid is something else.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what other news we want to talk about real quick. Sprout has benched Dennis. This was an older one. This is more recent. Sprout's benched Dennis. MSL is assembling a new team. Big signed Gade. Movie Star Riders bench Steel and release Shocks. E-Store from Movie Star Riders has joined Offset. Fox from Offset has temporarily taken time off. He's taken a break from competition. The other moves from Movie Star Riders recently, they've benched Shmuya, and they have signed a Spanish trio from the Iberian family. The young up-and-comer Sampaius, David G, and Deaths. Sampaius himself is something else. He's a superstar player. They also have Mopaz and Alex. Anything you want to talk about with the Movie Star Rider news?
No, I'm good.
I'll just say this. Keep an eye out for Sampaius, but I think this trio with Sampaius, David, and Raul over here, keep an eye out. And Mopaz and Alex. I think this will be an interesting Movie Star Riders team. Nothing crazy, but I think we're going to see Sampaius climb through the ranks very quickly. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's go. That's all of our July. That's the July news. We head over here in August. Santeris transferred. Karn from Fnatic. This is just a quote from the article here. As long as CS is out there and is a competitive game, Fnatic is here to be a top contender, end quote. That was quote unquote from Karn from Fnatic. There's been a changing of the guard in the HLTV newsroom. Just real quick. Striker and Professor are taking over the HLTV newsroom after being promoted to editor-in-chief and head of operations respectively. So Striker is now the editor-in-chief of HLTV.org, and Professor is now the head of operations. Congrats to the two of them. They are great people. PTR is retiring from CSGO. Junior is standing in for Bad News Bears on loan. Oplano are in negotiations to sign with Nordavind. Nautilus has listed their roster before Oplano's in negotiations to go sign with Nordavind. Obviously, with the news that Alex and Mezzi are going to Fnatic, Endpoint has rounded out their roster with Boros. I don't know really anything about him. They have HLTV.org has an expert take on Fnatic's international move here with Yanko, Launders, and Pimp. I have not read that, but go take a look at that. Cajun B headlines court changes in AGF. It's fine there. Next big piece of news, I guess you call it kind of big, is Stanislaus taking a temporary leave from EG. Daps is standing in for Stanislaus for EPL Season 14. What are your thoughts on this?
Not a big deal either way. I mean, I kind of like Stanislaw. He's a good IGL, and I mean, Daps was a traitor, right?
Well, yeah, he did. I think that was because he saw the opportunity with Zeus leaving EG to go coach. So you can't blame him.
No.
Anything else to talk about there?
Nope.
All right. ATK has added Modem on trial. X-Floud stepping down from Gorillas. Keto appointed as the Fnatic strategic coach. Again, they specifically calling out strategic coach. Not coach, just a strategic coach. Which I found was interesting. Oh, this is interesting. I haven't seen this. Renegades withdraw from ESL Pro League Season 14. Travel restrictions in Australia have caused the team to drop out of the tournament. Stupid COVID pandemic! Oh, the Sinners have replaced them. Oh, no, they haven't replaced them. 4 is replacing Renegades in Group B, which is going to be really interesting. So Group B, Dan, now consisting of G2, VP, Complexity, OG. 4 is replacing Renegades and Sinners. What do you think?
That's a lot to think about there, Adam.
Yeah, that is.
Not a lot of impactful stuff in my opinion. So,
I mean, it'll be nice to see
stuff that I'm gonna have to get caught up on.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice to see 4s compete with some of these teams and actually get a crack in this tournament. You know?
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be one of those. I'm really gonna have to catch up on some of this because I have been on a break.
Dan has truly been on a tournament break himself. Totally okay. There's not much else in terms of news recently. Like I said, the St. Terrorist release from Big, and Moyes parting with Sangal. The Turkish super team has formed. The only other really big point of news is Gambit has reinstated their head coach F_1N. He is now free to come back. He has served his suspension from the coaching bug thing that, like, however many coaches were temporarily suspended from last year. So he's rejoining Gambit there. A lot of news has happened over the tournament break, my friend. It'll be interesting to see what goes on for the second half of the year. Anything else standing out to you before we get out of here? Dan? Yoo-hoo! I think we lost him. Let me see if I can get him back. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Yeah, working on it. See if we can figure out where Dan went. There he is. He's back. Dan!
I am happy, Adam. Let's call it a night.
Alrighty. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you for the next CSGO Clutch podcast. Remember to follow Dan on Twitter at CSGO. Sorry. At Wandelch, WANDLCH. You can follow the CSGO Clutch podcast on Twitter at CSGO Clutch Pod, and you can follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21. Dan and I will catch you for EPL Season 14, where we will go over the event and break down the DraftKings and Prize Picks slates. For Dan, I'm Adam. Latest peoples. All right.